Why, hello there. Welcome to this video. My name is Leah. I'm a new progressive YouTuber. I've been doing Wednesday and Saturday shows where I talk about the big news, cultural trends, whatever's going on, all from a progressive point of view. So if you're interested in that, well, welcome to the show. So my last show was actually super long, and I wanted to mention that I was actually surprised that people watched it and enjoyed it, and some people watched the whole thing. If you're interested in long form content like that, like if you're okay with my videos being kind of long, rambly, and full of stuff, then, let me know. Is that something you're interested in? Like put that in the comments or whatever. But I am going to try to keep today a bit shorter than my last show. We do have a lot to cover, but I'm just going to try to not like stick on one thing for too long. That way we can kind of move through this stuff and I can make my points and we can talk about stuff. Today's going to be all about like post debate, kind of talking about polling. We're going to talk about undecided voters. We're going to talk about some Truth Social posting that Trump has done about the debate, as well as his opinions about like how he did for the debate. And then we have just like a few other stories to go over. So with no further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. So for my debate coverage, I mentioned specifically that I was interested in how the right wing was going to respond to the debate, because I feel like if you watch the debate, Trump is like irredeemably bad. Like it's such a bad debate performance. It was almost as bad as like what Joe Biden did in his debate that knocked him out. Like I feel like Trump was maybe a little more energetic than Biden was in his last debate. But other than that, like Trump was just rambling. He was nearly incoherent sometimes. He was bringing up constant just mirages, just things that he has seen online that are just not true. And he was just spewing all sorts of bile on stage. So I kind of felt like there was almost nothing that the spin room could do or that like Republicans could do to spin Trump's performance. So we're going to jump right into that. We're going to start with this Fox News coverage. There are some panelists here and they're just going to talk about debate stuff. So let's see what they have to say.
All right, but the big controversy of the night wasn't the candidates. ABC moderators David Muir and Lindsay Davis getting called out after aggressively fact-checking Trump 5 times, but 0 times for Harris.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But
And here are the questionable Harris statements.
Okay, so like Trump did lie a lot, and some of the lies were so obscene that yes, they did have to fact check it. They had to fact check the eating dogs. They had to fact check murdering babies after birth as a form of abortion. And like it's obvious why they had to fact check that stuff. Like that is literal just Twitter bile. Like that is just some online, terminally online conspiracy theory stuff that just got into Trump's brain and he thinks it's real. He thinks it's real. So they're kind of mad that the moderators are fact checking Trump, but didn't fact check Kamala. Let's see what lies Kamala told that apparently they didn't check.
That they let go.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. What did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Meanwhile,
Okay, so she said Project 2025, that he intends to implement it. Now, publicly, he has said that he's not going to implement, the 2025 stuff. But the first time around in his presidency, if you look at it, he implemented like 60% of the Heritage platform was just inherited as his policy platform. And if you don't know, the Heritage Foundation are the people that like crafted Project 2025. But if you look at it, like what Trump said is like he hasn't read Project 2025. He hasn't read it. He doesn't intend to read it or whatever. Being ignorant of what is in the 2025 thing for him is not like, it doesn't really say anything. That doesn't mean that he's against what they have to say. Doesn't mean that he's for what they have to say. And one thing that we talked about recently is that plan beats no plan. Like we were talking about how Biden was more progressive domestically than we kind of expected him to be, like especially with union stuff, right? And I showed a clip where essentially this guy was talking about the fact that like people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have been working to try to bring people in that are agreeable, to those progressive positions. So that when policy is being brought up, when policy is being crafted, the people that are around are more progressive, therefore they can affect the policy. And essentially, the point of that was that Joe Biden didn't really have a strong plan going into office. He kind of ran on vibes, on beating Trump, on returning to normalcy and stuff. So he didn't really have a strong policy platform going into his presidency. And he sort of had to adopt the policy platforms of people around him to kind of fill out the gaps, so to speak. Now, if you know anything about Trump, then it's quite obvious that he does not have a plan. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know when he's doing it. He's been talking about healthcare. I've seen clips of this recently where he was asked about his healthcare thing during the debate. And he said, I have concepts of a plan, where like basically he mentioned back in 2016 that he was going to replace the Affordable Care Act. And since then, he has brought up over and over and over again that he's so close to having a healthcare plan, that he's so close, and he never comes out with anything. And then during the debate, he said, I have concepts of a plan. Trump has no plan. He has no idea what he's going to do in office. He might have a couple vague notions like tax cuts for the rich and stuff like that. Obviously, that's something on his mind because that's just sort of like immediate gratification for him and his rich buddies. But other than that, like, I really don't think he has much of a plan. If you've seen recently, people have been pressing Trump on sticking more to policy rather than doing his grievance politics stuff over and over and over again. But it's not working because he doesn't have any policy positions to talk about. Like, he doesn't have a strong policy platform to stand on. And so when people try to press him about it and try to get him to be more detailed about his stances, he just rambles and evades and just distracts from the point of the question, which is to give detailed policy answers. For that reason, I do not trust him saying he's not going to implement 2025, Project 2025 or anything like that, because if he doesn't have a plan, the people around him will have a plan. They already have the mechanisms discussed. Like Project 2025 is scarily well thought out. Like they have like the whole process ready to go. They have people ready to go, and they are ready to do what they want to do, which is like deconstruct the Constitution essentially and deconstruct our administrative state. So when Mr. No Plan gets into office, do you think he's really going to pass on having a plan just handed to him by people that support him? I don't think he's going to pass on that at all. I think he's just going to take it and run with it, and is extremely dangerous. But okay, I kind of spent a while on that. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Harris campaign wants a second debate. Donald Trump says he's mulling it over.
Well, you know, when you don't win, it's like a fighter. When a fighter has a bad fight, gets knocked out, or loses the fight, the first thing he says is, we want a rematch. So we won the debate according to every poll, every single poll. I think that, are we going to do a rematch? I just don't know. But we'll think about it.
Greg, there's been big electoral shifts. I mean, like.
Okay, so he right there basically said he won the debate. He said that he doesn't necessarily know if he wants another debate because he won the debate according to all polling. And if you see this, there are multiple instances of Trump like basically saying, just making numbers up out of thin air, or basically quoting Newsmax polls saying that he won the debate, and that's like all of polling agrees with him or whatever. That's just not true. That's just not true. I don't have the specific polling here to show you, but you can look it up yourself. And almost all polling shows that Kamala Harris won the debate, unless you look at specifically right-wing polling that is specifically just meant to stroke Trump's ego. So like the pundits are focusing primarily on the fact that the moderators fact-checked Trump on obvious lies a couple times, like a few times. Like honestly, there were a ton of lies that they let slide. Like there were so many lies that they just let slide. And I think that's the most ridiculous part about it, is that like they were actually being pretty lenient with Trump. Like they certainly could have been more aggressive with fact checking Trump because he told many, many lies during that debate. But it's sort of one of those things where like he's setting hundreds of fires and you have one hose and you can't put out 100 fires at once. So like, you know, it sort of becomes this thing where, especially as we get into like this late stage of the Trump era, where like the lies have built up and the narrative has built up so much that like it's just completely detached from reality. Like his spin, his narrative is just this whole insulated world that is completely devoid of fact and reality. And to like fact check Trump is to essentially try to deconstruct 8 to 10 years of deceptive propaganda, messaging, and lies, And that's just incredibly difficult to do. Like, it's so hard to do. So on one hand, I kind of understand that, like, they're not going to fact check him on everything. Like, I get that. And I feel like I am at least happy that they fact checked Trump on like the baby thing and the dog thing, like eating dogs, because like, yeah, that's a pretty absurd lie. I feel like most people hearing that know that that's a lie, but there are probably some voters out there who hear the baby thing, like they hear like babies are being aborted after birth or whatever, and they don't know whether that's true or not, which is kind of weird, but you know, they don't know for sure, and Trump's bringing it up, and so that kind of gives it this quote unquote credibility because someone's bringing it up. And if they don't push back on it at all and say like this isn't true, that kind of makes it seem more suspect to people who don't know. Like if you know, then it's like, yeah, you really don't even need to push back on that because that's just an obvious lie. But if you don't know for sure, which is again kind of weird, but if you don't, then somewhat like having no pushback on that at all kind of seems suspect. Like, why wouldn't you push back on that if that's, you know, if that's not true? Wouldn't you want to be like, that's just not true? So I want to move on though, because I want to talk about undecided voters. The big media outlets did some focus groups where they talked to undecided voters, and I kind of want to show you a couple clips from that. So first up here, we have CNN.
Important state, most important county in that state. We asked for a show of hands before the debate who hadn't made up their mind yet, but thought this debate may determine where they would go with their vote. To start, with this debate, who do you think won by show of hands? Former President Trump. Two, I'll give it 4, but tentative. 2 over there. What about Vice President Harris? More hands. For those of you who thought this debate could be determinative, how many of you have made up your minds based on what you saw tonight on stage in Philadelphia? Raise your hands. All right, I want to ask you why. What did you see that brought you to a conclusion?
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. That's, I am absolutely sick of this false equivocation of like, oh, they were both in office for 4 years. Trump was president and Harris was vice president. So they basically had equal opportunities to get things done. Like, no, that's not true. That's not how that works. The vice president does not have the same power as the president to get things done. And then her, what? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, but I think she has no idea what she's talking about. I don't think that she pays attention to politics at all. And for some reason has just grabbed Fox News talking points.
Towards the former president coming into the night?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did.
So,
oh, would you look at that? She voted for him twice. So she's probably not really an undecided voter. She's more of a decided voter.
decision made there. What did you think?
As to who I would vote for in this election, I strongly felt Kamala was more optimistic, more respectful. I thought she had plans that she tried to describe in the minutes worth of time that she had. I mean, they really were limited with their time. So, I don't know, I just felt more strongly for her.
And then let's go ahead and look at this one. This is 12 News.
Toss-up Battleground State. A few are undecided, a few lean left, a few lean right. One, you'll find out, doesn't lean at all. Yeah, we'll find out. So first off, show of hands. Who won this debate? Was it Donald Trump? 2 for Trump. Was it Kamala Harris? Was it neither? Okay, Nicole is a neither, and Denise, you're a neither too.
Well, it's not so much a neither. Trump clearly lost, Harris has certainly opened a door and shown us more of herself. Keep doing that. Please show us what you're made of.
So they think
That's what I ask.
Okay. Jeff, what do you feel? You thought Kamala Harris won. A lot of people said she had to show us who she was.
Which she did. She came across as presidential, articulating her vision and her desire to help everybody get up on their feet. Trump was just a spewing volcano of hate and bullying, and it was just disqualifying.
Juan Carlos, you thought Trump won.
Yeah, because I feel like he spoke more on like the bigger issues, especially problems at the border. My family came here legally. We went through that process, and it took a long time. Now we're good. So it feels wrong that other people, the illegals, are coming here more easily and getting more benefits than regular Americans. And then we've also had American people die at the hands of illegal immigrants, like a young boy from Ohio. His name was Aiden Clark, who was killed by an illegal Haitian. He'd still be alive if we had a stronger border security.
Okay, let's go to Nicole. Nicole, coming into this, you really didn't know what you were going to do. It seems like you still feel that way. Was there anything tonight that connected with you in any way?
I thought it was telling that they both had the opportunity to answer a question about their leadership. Trump with January 6th and Harris with the Afghanistan withdrawal. And they both evaded the question. And that was an opportunity that neither one of them took, unfortunately.
So you're looking.
Is January 6th for Trump, like where he incited a riot at the Capitol, is that really the same thing as Kamala Harris being the VP to a president who made a decision to withdraw from a war that led to some deaths? Like, I don't understand the equivocation there. Like, I just don't understand how she can view those as like equivalent things for, I don't get it.
Looking for leadership.
Yeah, I think right now it's either personality or policy that you're voting for, and I hope people will look at policy. Tonight, they had a chance to show us characteristics of leadership. Neither one showed that.
Okay, well, that's just like kind of not true. I feel like Harris did show like quite a bit of leadership on stage. She, like that first guy said, I felt that she did come off as very presidential. She obviously attacked Trump on some things, but she was extremely professional throughout the whole debate. And even her attacks on Trump were pretty tame compared to what they could have been. Meanwhile, you got Trump like literally spewing hate and insults and all that wonderful stuff. So seeing the hands go up and the people vote, I feel like that's the most important part of what we were trying to get at there, just seeing where the distribution is. You can see that the majority of people, undecided voters, think that Kamala Harris won the debate. So that's great. They think that she won the debate. I think listening to their reasonings is often absurd and annoying because even if they agree with you, most people are vibes-based. Like the median undecided voter, the reason they're undecided is because they don't follow politics. If you follow politics and you are aware of the past like 8 years, there's almost a 0% chance that you can remain undecided about these two candidates. Like, it's simply like there are just people who are not tuned in. They don't really know what's going on. All they have seen are vibes and people in their life talking about politics at a distance or whatever. They don't really know what's going on. They don't know what's true. They don't know what's false. They don't really understand all that stuff. So they kind of just pick whoever they think is the most appealing to them personally. And then they come up with reasons. So they work back from a conclusion. They see the vibes. They come to a conclusion about which politician they like the most. And then they start crafting reasoning about like, oh, I like them because of this or that or this or that. All right, so we're going to watch a little bit of the spin room from Fox News. We're going to see Trump talk to Hannity about the debate.
I feel good. All right, joining us now, he's on the set in the spin room himself. Did you have fun?
I had a good time. I think it was our best debate ever. I thought it was really good. We had 3 against 1, but I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of negative kind of stuff. Look, I saw on your show last night, they had 100% positive coverage on ABC. And I had 94% negative coverage.
93% negative.
I exaggerate.
You got an extra percent non-negative. As you were with her tonight, to think that we come out of this debate and we have no answer to her co-sponsoring the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, yeah. I say the end of capitalism, to come out of this, government-run health care and no answer to eliminating private health insurance.
Well, we brought them all up. Every one of the things that we brought it all up. And I also ended with, why hasn't she done it before? Why didn't she fix, she's there complaining.
Why didn't she fix all these
Were you
things
really
that she's
willing to
complaining
leave the stage and go home if she was going to go fix it in Washington?
No, you know what? I would have left. I would have said, go home and fix it. I'll leave with you, okay? But she doesn't, she's not going to fix it. So she's complaining about all the stuff that's wrong with the country, and they've been there for 3.5 years. And I wanted to say.
Him there saying best debate of all time. He is a master debater, apparently. And also talking about, Harris and how if she wanted to fix everything, well, she's the vice president. She clearly has unlimited power. Why hasn't she just fixed the world's problems? Like, what? Absurd. I genuinely, I know the median voter, they don't understand that the vice president, is basically ceremonial. They don't understand that as vice president, you can do some things, you can push for some things, you can advocate for some things, but you can't really do much in terms of just implementing policy or executive orders or anything like that. You don't have that kind of power. That's le president. That's the president, right? But yeah, the spin is crazy. It's absolutely wild. They're trying desperately to claw back any amount of dignity from this debate because Trump just walked on stage and crapped everywhere. He just crapped the bed. He was screaming about dogs within the first 20, 30 minutes of the debate. So it took 20 or 30 minutes for him to just crack and crumble and start screaming about immigrants eating dogs. So now we're going to look at this article. This is Data for Progress. Post-debate, Harris leads by 4 as voters see her as more honest, composed, and intelligent than Trump. On Tuesday, September 10th, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump faced off in a presidential debate hosted by ABC in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The debate was the first since Harris replaced Joe Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket following Biden's poor debate performance in June. A new Data for Progress survey fielded in the days following the high-stakes debate finds Harris up 4 points over Trump in a head-to-head race, with voters seeing her as being more of the candidate of the future and more honest, intelligent, and composed than Trump. Furthermore, the survey examines reactions to the debate, including how an overwhelming majority of voters find Trump's statements regarding immigrants eating pets to be weird. 50% of voters report that they watched the debate, while 29% watched clips, 8% read about it, and 13% didn't watch or read about it at all. This represents a slight increase in the percentage of respondents who watched or read about the debate compared to our June 28th survey. So right there, we're seeing that it was more widely viewed. People were more interested in it than the last debate. Among likely voters, 56% think Harris won the debate, compared with 37% who think Trump won. So you can see the numbers right here. Democrats, we have 93% of Democrats think Harris won, 55% of independents, and even 18% of Republicans think Harris won. So then they have a little graph over here about how much did you hear about various topics from Harris during the debate. So as we can see here, you can see that people heard a lot about abortion rights, building up the middle class, defending democracy, cutting taxes for middle class families, and growing small businesses. So that's pretty good. Right below that is increasing taxes on billionaires. Those are pretty good things to lead with. But yeah, we could look into this more. There's some more interesting information here. If you want to look at this, I could post this link in the comment section and pin it or whatever. This is a really interesting thing. Just look it up. So post debate, it is quite clear that Kamala Harris is the winner. The right wing is trying to spin. They're trying to save Trump. They're trying to bail him out the best way that they know how, which is to lie and to blame and to avoid responsibility for the fact that Trump just crapped the bed. People are wondering, is there going to be another one? Earlier, before this debate, Trump was saying that there were going to be 3 debates with Kamala. And now, well, so Trump made a Truth Social post about the debate and about a rematch. And he started it out by saying, when a prize fighter loses a match, the first words out of his mouth are, I want a rematch. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against comrade Kamala Harris, the Democrats' radical left candidate, on Tuesday night. And she immediately called for a second debate. So he goes on to ramble about a bunch of lies and stuff like that. And he ends the statement with, there will be no third debate. So I find it kind of funny, and I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which we're, no, I'm kidding. But for real, I find it kind of sad that he's trying to come up with this excuse, this pathetic excuse, when last time he was calling for a rematch with Joe Biden, the second that debate ended. He was like, yeah, I would love to get on stage again with Joe Biden and make myself look amazing. So I guess he's hoping that everyone forgets about that and just goes with this new logic that apparently he won the debate and calling for a rematch is a sign of weakness or something like that, even though he called for a rematch last time. So very hypocritical, but it's Trump. You know, he just changes his positions based on what's convenient for him. But we'll see how the media cycle handles this, and we'll see what they do with it. I really hope that they call Trump a coward. I really hope that they rub it in that he said that anytime, any place, anywhere thing. And now he's being so persnickety about debates. So there is some more stuff I want to talk about, but that's pretty much all I have to talk about when it comes to the debate and stuff like that. And I feel like Harris should really run with a lot of this stuff. I mean, there are many great clips from that debate that she could take and put in political ads and stuff like that. Eating the dogs, you know, that's a really good one. I really think that they should meme the heck out of that. I mean, there have already been a considerable amount of memes. And there's actually this really, really funny video that I watched recently. I think the YouTuber is Shmoyoho. Yeah, the YouTuber's name is Shmoyoho. And they do like, you know, funny music videos or whatever on the internet. But yeah, they did a fantastic music video with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It is so funny and so good. So we're going to move on to some other stuff that I want to cover before we finish up the show. So here we have an article from NBC News. Far-right activist Laura Loomer's access to Trump reveals a crisis in his campaign. Loomer, who has pushed a number of conspiracy theories, was on Trump's plane to the debate and accompanied him to memorial services on September 11th. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. No one can keep former President Donald Trump away from Laura Loomer. Throughout his third presidential campaign, aides and advisors have done their best to shield him from Loomer, a far-right social media influencer, and similar figures who stroke his ego and stoke his basest political instincts. They lost that battle this week as Loomer traveled on Trump's jet to his debate with Vice President Kamala Harris on Tuesday and to September 11th memorial services on Wednesday. Her presence at the latter infuriated some Democrats and Republicans because of one of the many conspiracy theories she has promoted is this false notion that the terrorist assault on the U.S. was an inside job. It wasn't. Loomer's return to Trump's side is pitting key figures in his coalition against one another, testing the strength of a campaign already reeling from his subpar debate performance Tuesday and Democrats' resurgence in the wake of their July candidate switch. Moreover, their presence reflects Trump's loss of faith in his campaign aides and their fear of upsetting him in a time of crisis, according to people familiar with the situation. So as we saw in that article, Laura Loomer is a far-right activist, and she's kind of off the deep end with the political conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And to be honest, we probably have mostly her to thank or blame, however you want to put it, for Trump being so into right-wing conspiracy theories right now. And for him believing things like Haitians eating dogs and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure a part of it is just right-wing Twitter in general because, you know, the conspiracies go wild on there. But he has Laura Loomer following him everywhere, whispering in his ear, you know, putting these conspiracy theories in his brain. And that's going to lead us to this next story. Trump refuses to criticize Laura Loomer amid concerns from GOP allies. So what is this talking about? What did he refuse to criticize her about? Donald Trump refused on Friday to weigh in on recent racist and conspiratorial comments from right-wing provocateur Laura Loomer, who traveled with him earlier this week to the debate and several 9/11 memorial events. Laura's been a supporter of mine, Trump told reporters. I don't control Laura. I can't tell Laura what to do. She's a supporter. Trump said Loomer has strong opinions, but said he was unaware of her recent comments, including a post on X, which we will look at. So here's the tweet from Loomer. If Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry, and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, and the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call that nobody will understand. Obviously, that's incredibly racist. I mean, I don't even need to say that. I feel like just by it's so overt. Like, there's no dog whistling. Like, she's just screaming racist stuff out loud. Like, you know that your post is bad when Marjorie Taylor Greene denounces you. Yeah, you heard me right. Look at this. This is appalling and extremely racist. It does not represent who we are as Republicans or MAGA. This does not represent President Trump. This type of behavior should not be tolerated ever. Laura Loomer should take this down. So yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, I never expected to see Marjorie Taylor Greene go woke, but here we are. And I'm obviously kidding, but like, seriously, you have to be really racist to have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene call you out. So one thing I want to say about Laura Loomer before we move on is that I feel like her being so close to Trump and her, like, people like her being so close to Trump, it really shows a lack of confidence that he has to surround himself with sycophants and people that are zealots and just like extremely dogmatic, people that are like so sucked into the right wing circle that they just believe these insane conspiracy theories. Like I said earlier, the right wing have constructed this political world completely devoid of fact and fiction, and that's the world she's living in, and she's in his ear all the time. So I think it really shows that he's not confident in himself or his ability to reach out to independent voters or people that aren't already just completely brain rotted. Like, he He's trying to appeal to like the incel brain rot market. And that is his electorate now. So this is our next article. In our Kamala era, Taylor Swift ads launch after her endorsement. The digital ads went live in New York Times Square and on the Las Vegas Strip Friday in reaction to the superstars debate night Harris Walz endorsement. So it reads here, Taylor Swift is in her Kamala era. The superstar singer-songwriter's key phrase took over digital billboards in New York Times Square and on the Las Vegas Strip Friday in a marketing push from the Democratic National Committee. Spurred on by her endorsement for Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, the Harris campaign has fully embraced the Grammy-winning artist's support now that everything has changed, with Swift weighing in on the U.S. presidential election. The Harris campaign site has been selling friendship bracelets and sold out overnight following the endorsement. The campaign has put in more orders and they are now available again for pre-order. Swift's endorsement, which led directly to 337,000 people visiting vote.gov registration sites overnight, took fans and voters by surprise when the proudly self-proclaimed childless cat lady shared her thoughts shortly after Harris and Trump left the debate stage. So it's good to see that the Harris-Walz campaign are running with the endorsement. They are taking it and they are using it to their advantage. They're doing ads, they're talking about it, and that's big. And 337,000 people being directed to vote.org to register to vote. I mean, even if half of them actually register to vote, that's an insanely large amount of impact. Like, that's pretty big. That could swing the election in and of itself. In some of these states, we have seen before, like with the 2020 election and stuff, some of these precincts were incredibly close when it comes to like vote tallies. Like you have like a couple hundred people making a difference. So it's great to see that the Swiftie endorsement is making an impact. Love to see that. I hope it makes a big difference in this election. I hope it helps secure a lead for Kamala Harris so that we can feel more confident that this isn't just like a toss-up race. So this is my last article for you before I'm gonna go. And it reads, NASA astronauts will vote from space in US elections after 8-month delay in getting home. So in short, NASA's pair of astronauts stuck in the International Space Station will vote from space in the US presidential election as they wait out the trying 8 months away from home. So I kind of wanted to just show that article because, like, for real, like, this is an important election. And if these people who are trapped in space are going out of their way to get absentee ballots to vote, then you can go vote too. Like, please make sure you're registered to vote. Please make sure that if you can, do absentee, do early voting, do that stuff, make it more convenient for you. And if you can't do that, make sure you're able to get out there on election day. Make sure that you have time on election day to go hit the polls and vote, because it's incredibly important. I know some people are going to be working that day. I know people are going to be busy. Life is busy, but this election is so incredibly important. We need massive turnout. Massive turnout will work in the Democrats' favor. The less turnout, the less likely it is that Harris is going to win this election. But yeah, that's my show for you today. This is way longer than I expected it to be. I mean, I had a lot of stuff to cover, but I kind of thought that I was going to move through it a little bit faster. Again, if you're interested in this kind of like longer form content where I really go on and on about stuff and I show a lot of different stuff, if you're okay with this being my show, like, let me know, because that would be good to know. But I really feel like I should probably try to keep these within the 30-minute mark. I mean, that's just kind of the gut reaction that I have. I feel like people, you know, I'm a new YouTuber. I'm a small channel, so I'm not entirely sure that people are going to want to give me an hour of their time. You know, that's just something I'm thinking about, something I want to try to be considerate of. But if you enjoy the content, if you're liking what you see from me, if you're enjoying the shows, then please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, anything you can do to help me out. Hit that bell icon for notifications whenever I drop a new video. And feel free to use my link tree. I have a link tree in my description box, and that essentially has all of my socials in it. It has my Discord. It has, you know, my Instagram, my TikTok, all of that stuff, my threads. So feel free to check that out if you want to see like my daily selfies or something like that. I also wanted to say that I just passed my first year of HRT. I have been on HRT for officially over a year now, and I want to make a video talking about like how my first year has gone and how it was for me and stuff like that. I have a lot to talk about in terms of that kind of thing. So I'm going to be making and putting out that video quite soon. So you can look forward to seeing that from me in the not so distant future. But yeah, that's it. That's all from me. I hope to see you back on Wednesday for my next show. But until then, I do have one tiny little favor to ask of you, and that is for you to drink some water.